Okay, let's start. Okay, so basically today, just gonna, like last time, I'm just going to go through examples and prep you for the exams. And as we get to the stages, I'll include the other questions that was on WhatsApp as we get to some of those questions as well. Okay, so the first one that we're going to look at today is around inequalities. So this is some of the part of the work that they basically in the back of a book said that you guys need to nearly know beforehand. Let's just relook this. So firstly, we need to multiply the brackets out. So the 3x or minus 3x becomes that, and it will be minus 3. Then we do it with a second bracket, so that's 6x. 6 times 6, or 6 times 1 is 6. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Four times x is 4x. And 4 times minus 2, so 4 times 1 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so that becomes minus 2. Okay, so then I always like to take the x's to the left. So we've got minus 3x plus 6x. The positive 4x goes to the left when it is minus 4x. Then all the numbers to the right hand side, so minus 3 becomes plus 3. Plus 2 becomes minus 2. And we've got this minus 2. Minus 3 plus 6 is plus 3. Minus 4, it's minus x. This side, small or equal to 3 minus 2, so that is plus 1. Minus 2 becomes minus 1. So minus x, small or equal to minus 1. Okay, we're looking for x, not minus x. So what we need to do is divide by minus 1. So it will become x positive. That side will become positive 1. But also remember, when we divide by 1, this signage will swap around. So when we divide or times 1, when we change that to a positive, that sign will swap around. Okay, so we've got x bigger or equal to 1. And there it is, option 3. So just important in this case, we're not looking for minus x, we're looking for a positive x. So then when it's positive, we need to, how to get to positive is or divide or multiply by minus 1. So when we do that, remember that the sign will swap around. Okay, so that's the importance of this inequality and why it's included in this prep. So just remember how we swap that around when we multiply or divide by 1. Okay, so let's do the next one. Okay, price of a t-shirt, including a 20% markup, is 36 Rand. What is the price of a t-shirt before the markup? Okay, so price of a t-shirt, including a 20% markup, is 36. What is the price of a t-shirt before the markup? Okay, so the price of a t-shirt before markup should be less than the 36. If you look at these options, 43 Rand will not be, because it's a markup, so it means that it is costing the 36 Rand is more than what it previously was. So it can't be the 43. Okay, so X, including a 20% markup, is equal to 36. Is this what you would have done as well? So let's just quickly check. And so let me just, I would probably write it a bit different. So let's just quickly, because that 20% did not. So let's just write it a bit differently. So we can rather write it as this. Or we could write it as X plus 20% times X. Because that original one that I wrote, we don't know with what the 20% are linked. So you need to know what is that original price of X to increase it with a 20% markup. So this is easier to say, okay, the original price plus 20% will be equal to 36 Rand. So X 1.2 will be equal to 36 Rand. So X will be equal to 36 divided by 1.2. And then I get 30 Rand as my answer. Let's just rewrite that a bit nicer. Okay, so there is for 30 Rand. Again, if I've asked you what was the amount of a markup, then it would have been the 6 Rand. Okay, so just be careful again. I know that in some of the questions, they might give you different options. So it might be that for some of you guys, they ask, what was the t-shirt before markup? For some of you, they might ask you, what is that markup amount? Okay, so just be, when you go through it, when you write it, just make sure that you're answering the question that they are actually asking. Okay, so in this one, they wanted us to say, what is the price of the t-shirt before the markup? So it is the 30 Rand. Okay, so let's look at this one. I think last time we got 2 points. This one, they asking us nearly to look at something because they tell us in the sentence it's a line that is parallel. So the equation of a straight line passing through the point 1 and 4 are parallel to the line y is equal to 3x. And so if I've got the line y is equal to 3x, and I look for a line that is parallel to that, my line that is parallel to this would be equal to minus 3x plus c. Okay, so because of a parallel, my m values for both, or my slope for both, will be the same. Okay, and nearly, let's just look at something. It might not be the right lines, but that slope and that slope is the same. The place where it goes through is a place that is going to be different, but the slope is exactly the same. So this one is negative, so it goes the other way, and it goes through the point 0 because there's no c, but the one that goes through point 1 and 4 might give you something different. But the importance of them telling us it's parallel means that the slopes are equal. Okay, so that is, the slopes are equal. So even if we look at different options, that might be because the slope is equal. That is not because the slope is not equal. That is not because the slope is not equal. So basically we sit with option 1 or 4. Okay, so that's just a way to nearly eliminate some of the options already. And then what we do is we need to put that point into the equation to work out what the c will be. So we know that is x and y. So when y is 4, minus 3 times 1 will be equal to 7, but let's just, that will go over to the left-hand side. So 4 plus 3 will be equal to 7, and 7 will be equal to c. So our new formula will be y is equal to minus 3x plus 7. Okay, so then y, okay, it's written a bit different. So we could have also said 7 minus 3x. Option 1 is the correct one. Okay, so in this one, they give us that the lines are parallel. Because the lines are parallel, that means that the slope will be the same. In this instance, the slope was -3. So our new formula, the slope will also be -3. Then we have a 0.1 and 4 that we can put into that formula, so that we can get to this point, or this line of y is equal to 7 minus 3x. Okay, so that is again just, they sometimes give you the 2 points. They sometimes tell you something about the line so that you nearly only need to work out what that is, because when they give you the 2 points, then you will work out the slope, and with that you will put one of the points into the line. Here they basically told you what that slope is. Okay. Okay, so let's quickly check. So I just want to, in here, quickly include that 2 questions from the group. And please, as you guys have more of these questions, please add it onto a WhatsApp group. I will get to it in our sessions. So just also, our next session is going to be on Monday at 5:30. So I will also send out a reminder. So Monday 5:30, then again next week Saturday, and then again Monday just before you write on the 11th. So Monday, Saturday, Monday, we will have sessions again. So please, if there is any other questions we need to run through, please pop it into the WhatsApp, or you can send me a WhatsApp. Okay, so look at this question, and there's just a few things I want to highlight for you guys. So before we even get to work it out, because I know some of you like to work with a calculator, perfect, no problem. Oh, okay. So let's quickly, thanks for that. When do the lecturer have revision classes? Just on Monday or other days as well, so that we can move the class? So if just in the WhatsApp, in the chat. Okay, so let's quickly see. 3rd, 5th, and 10th. Okay, so then 3rd, 5th, and 10th. Okay, thank you. So let's then, around that, I will change the schedule. But thank you for that. So lecturer 3rd, 5th, and 10th. Okay, so around that, I will then change the sessions, because it does not then make sense to have clashes. Okay, so I will just reschedule a bit of this. Okay, cool. Thanks for that. That we get in line, and just make sure that you get the most sessions still out of this. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so let's look at this, and again, just what might happen in the exam again. So if you look at these three options, they ask us the values of X, Y, and Z. They could ask you what is the sum of the values, because it seems like it will be 7, 8, and 1 will, or that will be the set of values. So 7 plus 8 plus 1 could have given you 16. So again, just be careful when you answer this as what the question is or what they want in the end. Okay, because I've seen questions where they say, but give me the sum of the three, or they could have said, well, if you nearly look at 8 times 7 times 1, it might give you 56. So just be careful when you do this, and especially if you're also working with a calculator, because firstly, we want to nearly always work out X, Y, and Z. But it might be they say, but what's the sum of X, Y, and Z? Or what's the product of X, Y, and Z? Okay, so with these ones, just be very careful how you then get to that last answer. Okay, so let's simultaneous equations. You can do it on the calculator, but let's look at if you did not have that calculator, how to work it out. Okay, so what I see is that is my first equation that I'm going to work with. Here is one that feels like I can work with. So 2y minus 2z is equal to 2. So what I nearly see is, what I will do is say, okay, let's multiply your second one with 2. So what we've got here is then 2y minus 2x minus 2y plus 2z is equal to 0. So if I then say option 1 plus option 2, I get 2x minus 2y plus 2y. Okay, that's 0. Plus 2x minus 2z. Okay, that's also 0. Okay, this is actually cool. 0 plus 2 is 2. X is equal to 1. Okay, now already x is equal to 1. So just by working out that 1, we have the answer if it was x, y, and z. If we need to get to the sum, or if we need to get to a product, not 100% sure yet. So let's look at where can I substitute. So what I would have done now with this one is to say, let's look at that formula. And let's look at this formula, and let's see what we get out of that. So we've got 2y minus 2z is equal to 2. And we've got minus x plus 2y plus 2z equal to 29. Okay, so let's add the two together. Minus x plus 4y those two cancel out, so that is equal to 2 plus 29, so that is 31. Okay, that is quite tricky. Okay, but that's fine. Substitute x with 1 because we now have what x is. So minus 1 plus 4y is equal to 31. The minus 1 goes over to this side. So I'm just working up. So 4y is equal to 32. And y is equal to 8. Okay, y equal to 8. And then we can use that formula even to say, well, x was 1, y was 8, plus z is equal to 0. So minus 7 plus z is equal to 0. So z, and let's just make it something like that we don't think it's 2. Z will be equal to 7. Okay, so there we have. So we worked out 1, we worked out we worked out x, we worked out the y, and we worked out the z. So now again, they could have said, what's the 3 points? So then it is 1, 8, and 7. If they ask us what's the sum of it, it is 1 plus 7 plus 8, which would have been the 16. And if I said what's the product, it's 1 times 7 times 8, which is the 56. Okay, so again, and they could have swapped that around to say, what is z, x, or sorry, z, y, and x. So again, just be careful when you look at some of these, that one doesn't make or fall into the trap of making the mistake to just whatever the calculator says, you go for that option. But for this one, the points, so it's option 2, 1, 8, and 7. Okay, so then I'm going to move that one a bit down as we get to the other ones about price and quantity, because we first want to look at a function, so the price and quantity linear function, and they ask us which one of these represent the formula. Okay, so this is your line. Ten plus 0.5 q, and they ask us which one represents this. Okay, so first thing I normally look at is to say, okay, let's look at the y cutoff, or in this instance, your p cutoff. So what will that be? So that will be 10. So that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay. All of them are correct. Okay. So that doesn't help me yet. I was hoping that I can cancel something out. So let's then look at if Q is, if P is equal to 0, what will my Q value be? So if P is equal to 0, what will my Q value be? Okay, so the Q will go to that side, so 0.5, Q is equal to 10. So if I divide it, Q will be equal to 10. Divide by 0.5, and that will be equal to minus 20. So let's look. Okay, that's wrong. Okay, minus 20. So that's wrong, but it was close. Okay, minus 20. Okay, so by just looking at the 2 points, we get to solve that it needs to go through 10 and it needs to go through minus 20. Okay, so that will then give us the option that is, okay, so the slope, so if you look at it, so the slope is positive. That's why it goes into that. And yes, the slope is also positive. So you could have had to say that from the start nearly is the one, because that's the only one. Perfect. You could have done that as well. Because the slope is positive, it needs to be something that goes into that direction. Perfect. You could have from the start nearly have said, because the slope needs to be positive, it can only be 3. That is perfect. Yeah, that's 100%. So that's actually the easiest to say. Okay, the slope is positive. It needs to be 3, option 3, because 1, 2, and 4 are negative. Perfect. Love it. Perfect. Cool. Okay, so let's just go down. Okay. So this was also one of the questions that was on the chat. Okay, so demand and supply functions for pans are Q 710 minus 5.5 P, and P is equal to 3.5 Q plus 75.5 respectively, with a price in rand and Q, a quantity in boxes. Find the points where the demand and supply functions intersect. And I don't see any answers to that was added to that one. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. So what I would do first is to say, so if we want, so what we're going to do with this one is basically, what I want to say is we will do simultaneous equation, because they will want to find ours where the demand and supply function intersect. So that is nearly the same as we would have worked out to see what is that midpoint where they intersect. So we know that it's where the one line is equal to the other line. Okay, so what we can do with this one is to say, do we change the Q's? Do we change the P's? So that's one way we can do it. Can it be that we put P in there. So let's first try it this way. And hopefully okay, so that is the minus 3.5. Q is equal to that. So we first need to just make sure that this one is equal to Q. So 75.5 divided by 3.5. Let's hope that is a nice number. No, it's not. So let's just divide everywhere by minus 3.5. I was hoping that that would be a nice number if we cancel it out, but it won't. Okay, so divide that, then it is P divided by minus 3.5. So that will become positive. So the one then is Q is 7110 minus 5.5 P, and that is equal to it would be interesting if there was any answers to this shared as well, because this is really not a great way of working it out. So I would probably have said, let's multiply by 3.5 straight through first to get 710 times 3.5. That is 2485. And I would have said, let's multiply 3.5 times 5.5, which gives us 19.25p. So that is now all. That was that times the 3.5, that times the 3.5. And that was the other way that I was also thinking, was to substitute it. So that this is the first way. So you've covered that. Then it is minus 75.5 plus P. And then if you work that out, the minus will go to the 2485 plus 75.5. So that went over to that side, that went over to that side. So that becomes plus. So 19.25 plus 1 is 20.25p. Then P is equal to 2560.5 divided by 20.25. which is also not, if I have worked it out, also not a nice formula. 1.44. Yeah, so you could have substituted that in there, and that would have also given you, so you could have said, and I assume that is what, so you could have said the P there, so 5.5 times the P, because that is basically nearly the same that happened in this instance. Yeah, you could have done exactly the same. I'm just worried that it's a weird number, um, but hopefully that is then, because if we then put the the P into that original formula, so 126.44 times 5.5, and we subtract that from 710, I get that Q is 14.56. So it's not, I don't know if that was one of the options, but it feels a bit weird unless they then rounded it off to something like 126 and 15. Um, so it would also be interesting if the answer set, if I have an answer set, that can also be shared, um, just so that we can see if there was actually something um, like this and what the answers was. In the exam, it will normally work out a bit more nicely, so that you have it that it will be something like 126 and 15, and not the decimals, unless it is 126.5. Then it is also fine, but it will be seldom the decimal. So it might also be that somewhere in my calculations I might have also rounded off something wrong, but for now it all seems like that is the right way to do it. Okay, yeah. So for this one, there is actually a few different ways. So one can substitute, one can, I think again, there is not just one way of doing these ones. So again, also find the one that works for you, because this could have been simultaneous equations, so you might even be able to use your calculator for it, where instead of y or x and y, we've got p and q. So in theory, you would be able to use that, as well on the calculator. So it will be interesting to see the guys that used the calculator for the previous one where you had 3. If you do it for this one that have 2, if you also get this answer, you get maybe something different. But definitely simultaneous equation can work for it as well. Okay, let's look at the next one. I just want to duplicate this a bit so that we can make it bigger. Okay, so one is more in words, how to write something out. So let's see if we get it. A swimming club provides X number of swimming lessons per day. The club has a daily fixed cost of 1250 when offering lessons. The variable cost is 50 Rand per lesson. Write down the linear equation for the total cost. Okay, so total cost equal to fixed cost plus variable cost. So that's always the important thing. So it said fixed cost of 1250 plus the variable cost of 50 Rand per lesson, so 50x. And so there's the one, there's the other one. So it's option one. Let's just look at the other ones and how they wanted to confuse you. So if you set 1250 plus 50 and then set times x, you would have gotten that one. If you swapped it around, we'd have gotten option 3. If you set 1250 minus the 50, you would have gotten the 1200. So again, just follow, I think that was chapter 2 or 3, total cost, fixed cost plus variable cost. And then you just put in the numbers for the fixed cost and the variable cost. And obviously they do give you the other options to confuse you. So yeah, so just be very careful, especially this option 3, because you see the numbers, and again, sometimes in the exam, if you pushed and you nearly know you're running and writing against time, and you see the two numbers. I know I've made that mistake so many times, because you see the 1250, you see the 50, and you're like, okay, let's go. I need to get to the next question. So just be very careful. Also, because it's written in the fixed cost plus variable cost way nearly. So just be careful when you guys do these questions, not to be rushed for time, because some of it is the ones that, and you will see that in the exam as well. There are questions that are easier than others, but those are normally the ones that you look at and say, but no, there must be something else in this. But in actual fact, there isn't. So I think that's also just important. Okay, minimum value. So the minimum value of this function. So again, two ways how we can work out the minimum value. So remember, this is the parabola, or basically um, uh, quadratic equation. So minimum value would be at the turning point. So we will be able to work that out. I think, what is this formula now? Is it minus 2a over b? I think that is it. Sure, now I am actually a blank for the turning point. I think that is right. I will still send you guys in the week a summary. I did also that will assist you with some of the equations and the formulas. Okay, so minus b over 2a. Okay, I've got it slightly wrong. So minus b over 2a. Okay. Okay, so that is one way to work out the turning point. So minus b is minus 2, and 2a is 2 times 1. So that is minus 2, so it's 2 over 2, and your answer is 1. Okay, so that's one way to work out the turning point. Another way would have been to say, but hang on, I know that at the turning point, or when I need to get to a minimum value, I can actually differentiate that, work out x, and that will be also an answer. So if I said differentiate that, and that must be equal to 0, that is also a way to work out the minimum point. So if we differentiate that, we get 2 goes to the front, so it's 2x. There's normally that 1, so 1 goes to the front, the x will disappear. The 2x minus 2 is equal to 0. 2x is equal to 2, and x is equal to 1. Okay, so again, you can see 2 ways to work it out. Because it was quadratic, we can use this x over minus b over 2a. If it was now cube, then it's difficult to use the x minus b over 2a because we're only allowed to use that for quadratic. Then we would have gone to the differentiation part in any case. But yeah, just wanted to show the 2 ways that you can work this out. Okay, so then let's go to the next one. Now again, it's nearly one of those that they wanted you to, from previous studies, nearly wanted to make sure that you still remember how to do this. So let's quickly. Okay, so 4x to the power of 2 divided by y to the power of minus 4. And what we are looking at is then the root of that. Okay, so if I look at some of these options, but we're okay, so let's check what we can do. So I first would want to rewrite that a bit. So there's the 4x to the power of 2. We can take the y minus 4 to the top. So that becomes y to the power of 4. And then we can square root that. remember this, if we look at something like that, it's nearly, that is what we're looking at. So another way to write that, just if we see something like this, another way to write that is, this is exactly the same. So those two are exactly the same. So I've seen in, I think, what was it, BNU and QMI, they brought in this one question where they gave something like this, and they gave 4 options, and they said which one is not equal. So this is equal to that, and that is equal to that. Okay, so just so that if something like that happens where they nearly give you 4 options and one of those 4 options is the incorrect one, um, it's just to show you different ways that we could have written this this expression. Okay, so when we look now at these two, then one can see, okay, well, we can now do some simplification on it, because the root of 4 is 2. So already I'm looking at that might be, that might be, that is not. And let's just rewrite for others a bit. So if I use this, I could have rewritten it as 2 times a half, so that will be 2 over 2, and 4 times a half, 4 over 2. 2x to the power of 1, y to the power of 2, which is then option 4. Okay, so just again, all the different ways that we could have rewritten that expression, because like that question in BNU and QMI, what they could have said is, which one is not, and they could have had this one as option 1, this one as option 2, this one as option 3, and let's say that one as option 4, and then that is for one that is not. Okay, so just again, that was for me quite, when I saw that in the other subjects, quite nearly a mindset we need to change, looking at one or two of the questions. So that nearly made me, just for if there's something like that, because it's all part of the decision sciences modules, that just if there is something like that with the simplification or expressions, that you can see how you can rewrite something like this in different formats. Okay, so that is expression that we need to simplify. So
Sorry, sir. Can you please
yes,
go back to yes, the previous question? How the x to the power of 2 over 2, I see that, but how did you get 2? Or you
okay.
simplified?
So this two, or
Yes, yes, that 2. Yeah, the rest
okay.
I can see.
So that was, the
The
4
square root, from the square root.
would have been 2 to the power of 2. So
Oh,
I so
okay.
let me quickly, so our, we would have done that is exactly the same. So 2 to the power of 2 over 2 it would have been. So if I
Okay.
wanted to do that, I could have that 4 is 2 to the power of 2. So if I say 2 to the power of 2 to a half, that would again be 2 to the power of 2 over 2, which will be,
thank you so much.
cool, which will be 2 to the power of 1, which is 2. Okay, so that is how we would have done that one. Perfect. Ask when something is unclear. Happy to just revisit that. Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's look at the next one. And this was something that I thought, so let's just quickly see. Let's duplicate. Because that 39 I thought was quite an important one, nearly to look at. Because this might again be something that pops up in your exam. So again, I just think that we just need to, all these weird questions that sometimes pops up and surprises one. Okay, so let's look at this question. An investment in a bank grows according to the following formula. And then where T is time in years and P is the amount invested, amount plus interest, after how many years to 2 decimals will the investment be equal to 4,000? Okay, so they basically tell us that we need to use this formula, and they tell us that the investment will be equal to 4,000. So 4,000 will be equal to 6,000 divided by 1 plus 29 e to the power. Let's just make 100% sure that looks like a e. E to the power of minus 0.4 t. Okay, so that is what we need to solve. Okay, so now we're going back to questions that study unit 2, 3, 4, I think, where we needed to look at changing the formulas. Or not changing formula, solely work from E to get rid of E to the power of something. We need to look at logs. But first, let's just simplify. So I want to get rid of this thing under the 6,000. So the first step for me is let's multiply on both sides out with 1 plus 29 e to the power of 0.4t. So if we do that, on my right-hand side, that would have cancelled out if I multiplied that out. So I will sit with 6,000. Then I can divide by both sides with 4,000. So that the 4,000 on my left hand will disappear. Okay, so that at least is a bit easier. And then I can say, well, I've got the 1 plus e to the power of 0.4t. So let's just make this a bit simpler. If we divide the 2, it will be 6/4. So for now, let's just have that. On the left-hand side, there's the 1. So the 1 I can subtract on both sides. So I'm left with 29e to the power of 0.4t. So on this side, it will be 6/4 minus 1. Okay, so now at least it becomes a bit simpler, but still I want nearly to get rid of that 29 as well. So just to have e to the power of 0.4 t. So what I will do on the right hand side, so let's say 6/4, so that's 1.5 minus 1 is 0.5, and if we multiply, so sorry, not multiply, we need to divide. So I've got 0.5 on this side. If we divide it by 29, it will be 1/58. Okay, so e to the power of 0.4 t is equal to 1/58. Okay, so that is just a long process to get to what we want. And now what one can do is to say, okay, but I'm taking the log of e to the power of 0.4 t, and I'm taking the log on the other side. So we're basically just doing log of one, log of the other one. I'm going to run out of space. So let's just quickly see if I can move some of this up into there. Let's just, if I need to have more space, and let's quickly see if I can move that in there. Okay. So when we take the log, what we are left with on the left-hand side, because there's that e, we can say 0.4 t log of e, and on the other side we keep log of 1/58. So log of e is actually 1. So on the left hand side we sit with 0.4 t times 1, and that is this log 1/58. So we can decide, let's already get what that answer is, which is I get minus 4,0604. Nothing there. And then to get t on its own, I will need to divide that by 0.4 or negative 0.4. So my final answer then is 10,1511, which gives me to 2 decimals, 10,15. Okay, this is really a long process. Um, if I look at this question, sure, could one have somewhere made it simpler? You don't want to start with log earlier because then that becomes confusing. So we will start log here. So yeah, it is a long, long way. So what I just want to, I am going to just quickly copy into this nearly a way of, this is also the process. So just a more step-by-step process that I have written down for you guys, so that you can just also see it step for step. So yeah, as I worked it out, one could see one runs out of space nearly. So here is also a step-by-step way of getting to it. And I think that is also important, just again to see the step-by-step. There is, so here I did it a bit differently, so get rid of the 6,000 first. But again, it's very similar process of getting to your answer. So this one was quite a long question to work out. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So the next one we look at again minimum maximum values, I think. So I will make sure that in our next session, which we will probably make, I will just check the third and fifth, so it might be that we do it with fourth, sixth, or whatever. I'll just check in with you guys on the chat on WhatsApp. So I will check in with you guys on WhatsApp which one will suit you, but we will definitely have a session next Saturday. So I will follow up in the WhatsApp. But what I will, if we don't have anything today, I will just make sure that we cover your consumer surplus and producer surpluses and all those kind of things as well. Okay, so find the values of x for which the function minus x3 plus 9 to the power of x2 as a minimum or maximum value. Okay, so minimum, maximum values that we will need to work out. So basically what we will need to do is to differentiate. So let's first differentiate, and then we can factorize, or we can use the roots formula. So let's first get differentiation out of the way. So the -3 goes in front, over 3, so it's minus 3x to the power of 2. The 2 goes into the front, 18x. The x just disappears, so we sit with minus 24, and the 26, when we differentiate that, will be 0. So what I would do then is to simplify it a bit. So let's take minus 3 out. So we have left x to the power of 2 minus 6x, because minus 3 times minus 6 gives you the 18. Minus 3 times minus 8. Minus 3 times plus 8 will give us minus 24. Okay, so then the factorization becomes a bit simpler. So what I normally would, how I would do it is to say the x's what times what. So there's only ones for the x's. To get to a 8, we can say 8 times 1, or we can say 4 times 2. And when it is 1 times 1, so if I look at that options, it will be 7 or 9. If I look at this, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 2 is 2. So if I add that, it will be 6. If I subtract it, it will be 2. I'm looking for a 6, so it nearly looks like that one is the one I want. So if I say minus 4 minus 2, minus 4 times minus 2 will give me 8. Minus 4x will give me plus minus 2x will give me the minus 6x. So we sorted for that. And we need to work out minimum or max, so that must be equal to 0. So x minus 4 must be equal to 0, or x minus 2 must be equal to 0. So x is equal to 4, or x is equal to 2. Okay, I just delete the other way around. So 2 and 4. Okay, also what is important in this one is if there was, let's say it was x equal to minus 2, for this it will be okay to have a minus 2, or if it was a negative answer, as because you want to find the values for x. So then it is fine to have a negative value. If this was a formula where there was quantity and price involved, then just remember you can't have a negative quantity. You can't produce something negative. So just if this was price and quantity, just make sure that if there is a negative one for price and quantity, that your quantity can never be negative, because you can't produce a negative number. So that then you will only be giving them back the positive number. So I will check if I can find a question like that as well. Okay, so another one, let's just first duplicate. Okay, so very similar to the one that was included from one of the on the chat. So solve system of equations. So this one looks a bit more difficult. So let's just see. There's an interesting one with that. There's an interesting one with only that. So what I would have done in this case, okay, so I would probably have worked with those two first. I'm just nearly thinking so that I can get rid of the x's and then one can work. So I would have said something like, that was option 1, that was 2. I would have said 1 minus 2. Let's just check if we do that. So x plus y plus z is equal to 8. Then minus 2, so in minus 2, that becomes minus x. That will become positive 3y, and that will stay 0. So then x minus x is 0. Y plus 3y is 4y plus z is equal to 8. So that is now my new formula. So that's the one formula. So unfortunately still don't have something that has a number, but now when we look at 5y minus z equal to 10, that was your fourth formula. Now I would have just said formula 3 plus 4. So then we can start getting things out. So 9, so that plus that gives you 9y. Z minus z falls away. 8 plus 10 gives us 18. And now we can say y is equal to 9. Ah, sorry. 18 divided by 9 is 2. Oh, that maths was horrible. Y is equal to 2. And let's quickly see y equal to 2. Not y equal to 2. So there's two options. We could have then said, okay, well, if y is equal to 2, let's use that formula, y equal to 2, and then substitute it in there. So x minus 3 times 2 must be equal to 0. So x minus 6 will be equal to 0. So x is equal to 6. x6 minus 6 fall away. And then we could just, to make 100% sure, put in the y and to 6. So 6 plus 2 plus z is equal to 8. So z plus 8 is equal to 8, which means that z is equal to 0. And there we have it. So option 1. So that is, if you don't have a calculator, that would be x6 y to z equal to 0. So now again, just be careful, because if they have it like some of the other questions, they could have said, okay, what's the sum of it? The sum will be equal to 8. What's the product of it? The product is 0. Okay, so just be again careful. They might give you the points, they might give you the sum, they might give you the product. Okay, so just again, when you answer this, they might give you the 3 points, they might give you the sum, they might give you the product of the questions. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, again, the roots one. So we are definitely making sure that certain things we cover quite well today. So let's just check. So roots. Okay, so I could have, again, we could have said, let's do the factorization. But if I look at a quarter, it's going to be, so it will be something like, so let's look at it this way. What I'm also going to include is just because, again, you guys are allowed to have formulas and open book, and so if you rather want to use the formulas, this is definitely one that the quadratic formula that will also solve the roots for you. So if you don't want to factorize, so 4x times x will give me that. Here I see the minus, so but we've got a positive there. So it will look something like positive 1 minus 4. So let's just 4 times that gives me the 4x square. That gives me 4x. That gives me minus x, which does give me the 3x. And minus 1 times positive 1 does give me the minus 1. Okay, so with factorization, we do get that the factors is 4x minus 1 and x plus 1. So that will be equal to 0 because we need to determine the root. So 4x minus 1 will be equal to 0. And x plus 1 will be equal to 0. Okay, so let's first, this is the easier one. That just goes to right hand, so x is equal to minus 1. Okay, 4x will be equal to 1. X will be equal to 1 over 4. Okay, so we set with option 1. So again, just going to add this component for you. So if you wanted to work out with the roots formula, I have added this for you guys so that you just check if you are more comfortable using the roots. You can use it, and you will get the same answers. Okay, so it's not that you will get different. So if you guys are more comfortable in using the roots, by all means, please do. That is why there is also those formulas that the ones that want to use the formulas, you can. Okay, so if you're more comfortable in, yes, I'm just busy with the formula sheet to write a bit of notes on it as well, so that I just don't write down the formula. I write down what the formula is, so that you just don't have a blank formula sheet. So I will send it hopefully early next week for you guys. So I will share that with you. Okay, let's look at another one. Let's just quickly duplicate. Okay, so the first one is, they tell us, okay, this is the function, and we need to evaluate this. So basically, they want us to say what is the integration of this formula. So what I would do first with this is to say, but hang on, let's just first multiply out, because this feels way too difficult for me to look at this without first multiplying out. So let's do that. X to the power of 2 times 1 is x to the power of 2. X to the power of 2 times that will be x to the power of 2 over x to the power of 2. And so this does become a bit simpler to work with. Okay, so now if I wanted to say, okay, let's integrate that, much more simpler to do that. Okay, so if I do that, remember what we need to do is to say, well, here I need to plus 1, then that will become x to the power of 3, but then I divide by what that exponent is. So my first one will be x to the power of 3 divided by 3. So then I will first look at options. X to the power of 3, yes, but not divided by 3. No go. X to the power of 3 divided by, so that is right. X to the power of 2, nope. X to the power of 2, nope. Okay, so we actually only have that option left, but let's check the other one. So we've got 1 here, so we will add the x back. So x to the power of 1 divided by 1, so that is actually just x. There it was, there it was, there it is as well. So for option 2 is right, according to the rest of the things. And then, as always, we don't know if there was a constant, so we will just add a c back into it to say, if there was a constant, we will add back the c. So that is our final answer will be x to the power of 3 divided by 3 plus x plus c. okay, which is option 2. Okay, and just remember that x to the power of 3 divided by 3 can also be written as a third times x to the power of 3. Okay, so it can be written as that. Okay. Okay, so this was integration. So what might also happen with you guys is that they do that integration, and when you actually get one that you need to nearly work out between 2 points, the integration. So they might have that flow as well. Okay, but for this one, we've got a few more. So let's quickly see. Consider the market defined by the following functions: demand and supply, where P and Q are the price and quantity respectively. Calculate the equilibrium price and quantity. Okay, so equilibrium is where demand and supply are equal. So in a sense, this again is simultaneous equations. So you could have said on your calculator, use this as simultaneous equation. How I'm going to look at it is, okay, we've got a P that is similar. So I'm just going to use it as the one equation is equal to the other equation. Okay, so that for me is how I'm gonna look at it, simultaneous. So those two will be equal. So I will take all my numbers to this side. So the 20 goes, so 60 minus 20 is 40. Take the Q to that side. So 0.2 plus 0.6 is 0.8 Q. So Q is equal to 40 divided by 0.8, which gives us 50. Why don't I get the same? Where did I now make a mistake? Wait.
I think a mistake was the sign. You subtracted 20 from the 60.
I don't. Okay, this is.
No, that's still correct.
No, that is still. Okay, this is yet. Unless there's a mistake in the option set, which I now think there probably is. Hey, this is not great. That feels correct. Let's just quickly substitute now in that one. Maybe it was, and maybe there was a mistake in the answers that they have given us. If we do that, I just substituted it back in to get P. The 0.6 times 50 is 50. If I subtract that from 60, P is 50. Okay, so there is, so the Q in this instance was wrong. So here would have been none of the above. Ugh. And that I think they have nearly taken out of your exams, I don't think there is none of the above anymore in your sets of questions and things like that. I think that has at least now disappeared from pre-COVID to post-COVID, that they don't. Sheesh. Okay. Okay, so none of the above, but none of the above will not be in this anymore. So yeah, I would have now worried when I did this the first time, what I would have looked at this and said, I made a mistake somewhere. And obviously I did not, but yeah, I would have probably now went over it a few times to see why I did not get one of the other answers, and probably would have tried weird things. Okay, so again, this is actually as simple as that. Or they made a mistake, or they wanted us to pick option 5. Ugh. Okay, so let's quickly duplicate, look at these 3, and then that will be what we end off for today. And then I will, like I said, schedule for sessions next week. We will just check that it doesn't clash with your session with the lecturer. Okay, so here they again give us 2 lines. They want us nearly to say, well, what is the intersection? So where does it cross? So where does it do that? So we need to nearly rewrite the line. So let's just first rewrite that first one. So y is fine where it is. We'll take the 2 over, so that's minus 2x. Take the 5 over, so that will be plus 5. Then rewrite the second one, minus 2y equal to minus 3x plus 4. That was just kept that on the left-hand side, take that to that side, minus, take that to that side, plus. But then, again, I would want to get rid of the minus 2. So minus 2 across, so 3 minus or divided by 2, 3 over 2x. 4 divided by minus 2 gives us minus 2. So that will be my one formula. That will be my second formula. So now I can say, well, minus 2x plus 5 is equal to 3 over 2x minus 2. Okay, take the 3 over 2x to this side, so minus 2x minus 3 over 2x will be equal to minus 2 minus 5. So in the end, the answers will, luckily, the negatives will cancel out. So on this side, we've got minus 3.5x, and on the right-hand side, minus 7. So x will be equal to 2, because minus 7 divided by minus 3.5 will give us 2. And so luckily there was only one option with 2 in it, and then just one of them we will put the 2 back in. So let's use the top one. 2 times 2 minus 5, so you can say that 2 times 2 plus y is equal to 5. Y plus 4 is equal to 5. So if we subtract minus 4 on both sides, y is equal to 1. There we have it. They also have it the other way around. If we set, oh no, it is, if it was x1, y2, they have it the other way around as well for us. So if we made that mistake, it was there as an option. But you are also supposed to, this is also nearly looking at simultaneous equations. So we've seen a few questions around simultaneous equations that have been asked just a bit differently. So again, a lot of simultaneous equations that we worked through just in a few different ways. Okay, so last two for today. The retail store sells products, so very similar to the other one we did, but now we need to work out something. So retail store sells a product at a price of R3.10 per unit. So R3.10 per unit. If a total cost of wholesale purchasing X units is given by this formula, approximately how many units sold should be sold to break even? Okay, so for break even, total revenue is equal to total cost. So we've got total revenue as 3.1x. We've got total cost as 300 plus 0.92 x. So 3.1x minus 0.92 x will be equal to 300. So 3.1 minus 0.92, 2.18 x is equal to 300. So x is equal to 300 divided by 2.18. And that gives us 137.61. So if we round it off, it will be 138, which is option 4. Okay, so this one was a bit different. So the previous one, they asked us nearly to write down a total cost function. Here, we will need to say what is to break even. To break even, total revenue must be equal to total cost. So they give us the total revenue, or sort of how to get to the total revenue function. They give us the total cost function. So because the two need to be equal, one can put it in this formula to say the one is equal to the other one. Okay. And then the last one. So again, interesting intersection. So, and now this time, the intersection, they want us to work out the coordinates, so the x and the y. So very similar to one of the previous ones. So I would first, so we've got the one formula. Let's work out the second formula as to say it is the same for the y. So we first, let's simplify it. So minus 2y stays on the left-hand side. The 3x will go over to the right-hand side, so it becomes minus 3x. The 3 will go over, so it becomes minus 3. So we sit with minus 3x minus 3. So again, we'll divide on everywhere by minus 2. So y is equal to minus 3 minus 2. Is that not very similar? Okay. And minus 3 divided by minus 2 gives us plus 3 over 2. So one formula, the second formula, we can now say that is equal to one another. So 3 over x or 4x plus 6 is equal to 3 over 2x plus 3 over 2. So a quarter plus, okay, so that will go over to this side. So a quarter minus a half. So let's just redo that. So we've got 3/4 minus 1.5. So when we take this over, it will be basically minus 3.5x. Oh, sorry, 3 over 4x or 0.75. So I have actually on the calculator made it already that we say 3 over 4, which is 3/4 minus 1.5. So we sit with 0, or minus 0.75. The 6 goes over, so it is 1.5 minus 6. So that's 1.5 minus 6 is 4.5. Minus 4.5. So we have then x is equal to minus 4.5 divided by minus 4.75, which gives us x is equal to 6. So x is equal to 6. And then substitute it into any one of the first or the second formula to get y. So let's put it into this one, even if it is a fraction. So 3 over 4 times 6 plus 6. So 3 over 4 is 0.75 times 6 is 4.5 plus 6. So it gives us y is equal to 10.5. Okay, they could have said to us 10.5, but now they want us to work out a fraction. So 21 divided by 2 is also 10.5. Okay, so it will be option 4. Okay, so again, nearly simultaneous equations. So we've now done today a lot of simultaneous equations, but really quite different ones. So we had it with lines, we had it with parallel lines, nearly some of the things. We had it with price and quantity. So a lot of simultaneous equations, again, where they ask you different kinds of things. So this was the points that we needed to work out. Some of the other ones was, what will the price be? What will the quantity be? What will the X be? So a lot of these actually comes down to sometimes the simple way of linear or simultaneous equations. Okay, so that is it for today. I've seen there've been a few other questions coming through, so I will look at that. I will include that into the prep for our next session, and then I will just check with you guys on WhatsApp which one of those days will be better for you. Just that we make sure that there's no clashes with your sessions with the lecturer as well. So it might be that we do it with 4 over 6 over 7 plus the 10th, but I will, plus the 8th, but I will send you guys a WhatsApp so that we can just as a group decide which times will be better. Okay, cool. Thanks everyone. Have a good weekend and good luck with all the preparations. And if you're writing this week, also good luck with that.